opting to go and pick second, while Ultra Prime opting for red side like they did in game number 1. So change in pace for OMG. They decided to pick first in game 1. This time they're going to pick second.
OMG took first pick, or sorry, OMG took second pick, and Op would have taken red side, which is interesting because OMG gets first pick of first selection in this. So there we go. We got their grapes as we solve this one. Rise picked Poppy banned. Interested if we see a Grizzly Xin Zhao, as I think that's what they're setting up for early on. But Rise has been a really strong champion this early season. Just able to go for his 2 tanky items, take a Ghost to buff up that lane phase and the team fight, and then have that option for Actualizer, which gives you these big windows of power when you do pop that item later on. So see that first pick for Saber. See if the captain can help dictate the map again.
Yeah, our resident high elo mid laner Fulls on the broadcast now. When we were talking about Actualizer on Rise, he said, yeah, it's just like old Rise back in when he suppresses ult and basically do that same effect. So that's kind of the artillery mage content that we're going to be getting here out of Saber in this game. Going to be going up against Haichao's Azir, which is famous or infamous, depending on who you ask. So should be a fun matchup in that mid lane, which we have been discussing throughout this series. But it looks like, once again, scaling will be the focus for Ultra Prime. Liangchen locking in his second tank, this time the Scion, and Hena on the Corki going to add some scaling as well.
You know, we haven't seen a lot of Trundle here, but I think Trundle into Rise Scion, not a bad idea here for Juhan. If he does want it, it does really nerf the Scion. And you got to imagine if they want Trundle, they got to lock it in here. So for me, this does make the next phase of bans kind of nice, because there are a lot of junglers that are strong that you don't really want to play in the Trundle anymore. Like Xin Vi would be nice pickups into a Azir MF. Not with a Trundle showing, right? You don't want to play Xin Zhao into that Trundle. That's tough. So I'm a little bit curious that they did go Scion on 3 for Liangchen. I think that I mean, he's going to have an okay lane matchup, and we'll see if they even use bans to throw at him. But yeah, I think that they did really hurt themselves in the jungle boat here. So just interested to see what happens. I would expect an Ambessa ban from Ultra Prime, given that could have a decent matchup into Scion, unless they... I mean, you could get weird and take Ambessa and play it into Trundle on 4. I don't know what that matchup's like, but it would be a nice takeaway for Scion, and it's definitely a strong pick in the meta, just looking at Ambessa as a champion.
Yeah, I mean, might not be great in the 1v1 against Trundle. I don't think anyone is, but it's something that can ignore the Trundle in terms of just diving straight onto the backline. And
you can dash through the pillar.
Goes up Grizzly's alley. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Gonna flag it right now. I did see a YouTube short or something with Bandle Pipes, Blood Song, Trundle support becoming something that more people are starting to get on.
Yeah, Bandle Pipes is something special.
It's a very strong item on that champion, I will say.
MF's not the best abuser. I am waiting to see support Ashe. I do think that there are some games where Ashe is good. Honestly, at this game, with a Scion, depending on the jungler that you take, may not be the worst, as we will see Rek'Sai locked in for Hery in the top lane. So a lot of sustain and early strength for Rek'Sai. Of course, Scion does scale very hard in that matchup. More minions he kills, more power he gets into the W, and the better that matchup gets for him. But will be pressure topside for Rek'Sai early on to help maybe open up some options for Juhan. As of course, Trundle, very powerful skirmisher if you do get up in the face of the enemy jungler early.
And good champions so far to protect this backline. That is going to have to do a ton of damage in Haichao and Starry. These are the players that really were able to step up during the Demacia Cup when OMG went on their decently sized run, but not necessarily having the same level of success in this series just yet. The Nocturne here for Grizzly would be an interesting way to try to attack that backline, similar to the Ambessa, where you kind of can ignore the Trundle pillar, you can just go straight on it.
Nocturne makes sense to me, actually. The Spell Shield's nice against Trundle, and the Fear as well. I can just force Trundle to walk out, so still one of the fighters that you can play early into it. That said, I do like this Leona pickup. I think it's a shorter range composition being played by Ultra Prime, and that 5-second stun, it not only, like, you're tanky enough into Rakan where you can't really get Rakan comboed in one shot, but that 5-second stun on Q can be really valuable in the champions like Scion, like Nocturne, like Rakan, for trying to win that front line. And with Trundle and Rek'Sai, that's a front line that I think is really winnable here for OMG early on in the game. So, again, feel like Grizzly and Saber have to kind of be that tandem that scales this game or does stuff early so that Liangchen can get some scaling, and then Corki can, get those couple of items where he's really packing a punch. As of course, new season Corki, it feels like he might be even stronger than the spot that we left him in at the end of last season, where he was still a premier power pick in the bot lane.
There's a lot of valuable changes to crits
Reaver.
And how that works. The sheen on the Essence Reaver means you don't have to go Triforce anymore. You just go straight into full damage and do a ton of that true damage, especially against what we said is a pretty sizable front line on OMG's side. I feel like the split pushing for Ultra Prime, the 1-3-1 setup, could also become a factor as we get later on into this one. Just having that rise in the hands of Saber. A lot of different tools at their disposal. Meanwhile, OMG feel like relatively easy to execute, right? You just kind of go full forward. You have champions that are going to be able to counter what certain things in Ultra Prime want to do. And that's going to be what the name of the game is for them. Try to even up this series as we get to the Rift.
I guess you have to...
Not filled up the stadium yet. So
I guess you got to get out of Group Nirvana to earn the Xiaos, In NA, we have you can't eat unless you win, according to Reddit. And then in China, we have no Xiaos unless you're not Group Nirvana. Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Luckily for all of you, got Group Perseverance after this one. EDG taking on Thundertalk. Make sure you stay tuned for that as we get ready for the second game. Already a heal burned by Moham, but does not connect on the Zenith Blade. So just a little bit of a summoner spells there as Juhan goes for an early invade onto these Raptors.
Okay. I mean, yeah, this is interesting.
Oh, he's
going to get 2 camps here, potentially.
And now he just immediately outduels Grizzly. Might try to secure this with a smite. Grizzly does. He hits level 2 and has the red buff for a little bit extra healing. And does get the fear on the Juhan. Flash still available to try to land that chomp. But Grizzly, after going for the invade on the red buff, is going to be able to potentially escape for a little bit longer, at least delay some of Juhan's timing, some of his as well. First blood for OMG.
Well, that was curious. You don't really see a lot of invades anymore, Grapes, given that Riot decided to TikTokify the game, speed things up a bit, and remove some level 1 creativity. Grizzly was trying to force some, gets punished. I will say that usually Trundle doesn't start Raptors, so there's that too.
Yeah.
But that's kind of a weird moment of ships in the night into Grizzly. I mean, pretty much just ending that one behind. So he does smite away the camp, but he's going to be behind camps of his own.
How did this happen? He flashed over the wall?
Oh, yeah. This is how we love our League of Legends.
This is baller. I will say, respect.
Did go for the Q early. I don't know what the math is about Q versus W, as of course your W is a passive attack speed steroid on the Nocturne. Q does give you that initial damage and bonus damage if you fight on it. Wondering if you could get through that one maybe just a hair faster with a W attack speed steroid. I do not have the answer for that one. I have been playing as Lilia jungle in this early season because I'm a noob, and that's a noob stop champion right there. No one finds you in the first 2 clears. You just kind of win the game, Grapes.
That is fair. I mean, similar to what Grizzly was trying to do. Not the full clear for him though. He went for the full invade. As another player on OMG that we want to talk about is Haichao in the mid lane. He's on this Azir, who again we mentioned is a bit infamous in terms of what he's been able to do on it with LNG last year, but didn't have a great time last year. Was able to hold his own in the laning phase, but wasn't great this time.
Oh, nice. I like that. Well, I will say Haichao did have a positive gold diff at points last year. So the fact that he doesn't have one now is a little concerning, because that was a real strength to his game last year. Oh boy, no flash on Trundle.
Fight here in the 2v2. Juhan going to be taken very low. Saber misses the overload. Will have to flash into tower range to pick up that kill. Nice heal from XiaoXia. Able to keep his jungler alive. And Saber still pumping out damage onto Haichao. Won't be able to finish him off though with Moham joining the fray. But Ultra Prime get right back on the board. Even up our kill count at 1.
Great walk there from XiaoXia. Honestly made that play work in the end as they punished Juhan being down a flash. Utilized the power of that Rise early on. And I mean, Haichao just can't match the DPS that Rise has early. So really good walk from Ultra Prime. And a great recovery from Grizzly. I mean, even if he goes down there, I feel like that's a positive play for his mid laner. And one where, again, this is a tandem between him and Saber. They have to outpace the Azir Trundle early, and I think really get the rest of their map like into the game, right? You need to get Sion to a point where he can kind of deal with the Rek'Sai and be that just insane tank at the front line. That was, I mean, we've been treated a little bit of early action here, Graves.
Yeah, it's been fun so far. I think we can thank the junglers for that, as obviously they're the ones initiating a lot of these plays. Grizzly specifically, him and Saber able to coordinate well on that play on to Juhan. It means that Ultra Prime able to neutralize things a little bit. Remember, they're the composition that we feel like needs a little bit of time to come online with this Sion and with this Corki. So next step, what can Saber and Grizzly do outside of the mid lane to try to impact those side lanes?
Well, I think get 6 is probably the next step. I would be surprised we have any plays before we have 6 that comes in for both Grizzly and Saber. This Grizzly did just ding 5. This is going through his second clear. Definitely going to be a little bit behind in terms of XP. Given that not only... I mean, I guess he yoinked a red buff, and that was... Like, he didn't have any camps taken away from him that I saw. But delaying those respawn camps. Also not great either. So, we'll see if he can slingshot his way in. But... Saber unable to find that control board. Doesn't exactly know they have info on this side of the map, because I was going to say early dragon might be an option or on the table here.
Moham goes way in with the help of the Valkyrie from Hena. A little bit of trading back and forth. It is Starry and Moham with a slight advantage here in the 2v2 for now. A lot of that is due to XiaoXia being away from the map a little bit at times. You're going to teleport back in, and Grizzly also will be here to match. So not too much that this OMG bot lane will be able to do.
I mean, that's like reasonable damage early on. Yeah, I think that Grizzly's just kind of posturing just to see if they can get any path into this dragon. It is spotted by that control board that was left over by Moham, but honestly, some decent HP taken away. Grizzly not going to be close enough to 6 to leash it off this wave. Something else I was looking out for. Juhan might have access to 6 after this red buff take.
The first red buff take that he'll be able to have this game,
yeah.
And it does get him access to the Subjugate. Grizzly and Ultra Prime also spot out that control ward, which means that they fully know cannot contest for this dragon. At least for now, they're on full vision and the ultimate advantage in the hands of the enemy jungler. They're going to be giving up control over the bot side river for the time being.
Yeah, Saber really respecting that window, as a respectful ghost was popped. Doesn't have access to his flash still, so maybe just popping that one early to avoid a potential combo from coming in.
Saw some pings to the dragon. Didn't end up actually happening here. And so instead it'll be Juhan going to reset. Potentially the grubs are our next topic of conversation. It's Grizzly just ding 6 off of this second spawn of the wolves.
That is nice. XiaoXia's pretty far away from 6. Moham just got 6. If he walks up to these grubs and is spotted, that should be enough just to give them over to OMG, given level advantage on support.
The observers are showing us a lot of this the Rek'Sai Sion battle. Thought we were gonna get our ad. Looks like
yeah. The producer too was like, no, that's too disrespectful. Timer guys, grubs are spawning. All right.
Before the grub fight starts, take a look at this sponsor. Anyway,
look at what you can do in Chinese old school RuneScape for your phone with the with the Diablo, because like the red and the blue circles, it kind of looks like it's Diablo or Torchlight 2. Yeah.
Respect.
I'm just combining all the MMOs into one. It's like the Power World of MMOs they're advertising, you know.
This is the cross country amount of advertisement we're about to get. OMG, as you mentioned, does get all 3 grubs, but looks like they might be punished for it. A Saber and Grizzly will be going in with the Paranoia Realm Warp combo. Liangchen also available, and it means that Ultra Prime will get Juhan in trade for those grubs.
A load of damage dropped by Hena, who is going to be opting for the Trinity Force Corki this time around. We'll be curious to see if we get an Essence Reaver later on, or if we get anything of that nature. As Grizzly, nice job there on the Nocturne. Little tandem of the camps playing with the patience. You do have AoE between your auto attacks and the Q, so way to min-max that clear there. As he gets 2 camps for himself on the backside of that play.
Yeah, he's suddenly ahead. In terms
he
of
is,
speed.
and I mean, Grizzly, he's got to make sure this is a 2-0, you know, because Juhan was 6-0 versus Grizzly in their LCK-CL bouts heading into this series. So this was Grizzly's chance to, you know, change the region, change the pace, change the narrative of that head-to-head. Grizzly, a little bit creative with that take of the enemy red buff level 1, but has bounced back nicely.
They're not able to fully even up the 6 games. The maximum wins that they'll be able to get is 4 before we go on to the next stage. But at least good to, get a little bit of a dent into that head-to-head that has been completely dominated by the former DRX jungler, former world champion Juhan, by the way, over from DRX back in 2022.
Oh, I remember. Because that's when I was LCK TV man.
Yeah,
I was calling in. I was seeing Pioshik get subbed out for Juhan.
Was that a good decision for them?
It was. I thought Pioshik, I was really surprised when he took over in the jungle for all worlds. Like, I wasn't given the gameplay, but we felt like as a broadcast that Juhan was the better option because he was, I think, more disciplined in his early game takes and routes, and Pioshik was, of course, still kind of the kindred specialist, or I think had a little bit more variance and pocket variety he could bring to the table, which, of course, was paid off huge in the Worlds run, right? But no, we actually thought Juhan was the stronger jungler.
Fully charged Q from Liangchen does chunk out Hery a little bit here.
Yeah.
But yeah, Juhan, I feel like we've seen him in multiple regions now, right? LCK, LEC, now back here into the LPL. Hasn't really been able to stick, specifically as a full starter. It's been a lot of sub opportunities back in the Challengers League last year. This seems like an opportunity for him to fully become a true starter on a team and really getting that opportunity for the first time in what seems like a while.
See if he can, really take advantage of that opportunity. As Saber, we're committing.
Fully going in onto Moham right now because they know that Grizzly is in the wings with this paranoia. XiaoXia going forward with the quickness as well. And Haichao does not connect on that Emperor's Divide. With that being said, looks like the fight will still continue. Saber forced to run back away at 40% HP. Ultra Prime don't get any kills, but they are able to start up this Dragon.
Now, between the health bar taken away and these recon queues, that's just going to be Dragon given over. I think that was the right call. So, yeah, I know Haichao didn't connect with the Emperor's Divide there, but frankly, again, I really like the direction that we're seeing from Ultra Prime in this series, Grapes. Like, we talked about early on how Nocturne Rise has to somewhat act for this bridge. It's how they're going to make early plays, and it feels like Ultra Prime, again, that first series against LGD, I really didn't see a cohesive identity or a cohesive, like, they draft early game, and then they didn't play towards it enough, right? I think this series, we've seen 2 games where, for me, they drafted a mid-jungle duo that could really go impact the map and scaling elements in the side lane. And Grizzly and Saber have been doing a nice job at dictating the map with XiaoXia as the tertiary, who's also done a nice job of supporting some of these plays in the mid lane to give Ultra Prime, I think, a bit more of an identity in some direction, which we didn't see in their first series. So this has been nice.
Yeah, we talk about Nocturne Orianna a lot here. In the last couple of years, has become a very popular mid-jungle duo. But stuff like Nocturne and a Rakan also works very well when you are able to use the Battle Dance to jump straight in on top of that paranoia. We saw XiaoXia be able to take advantage of that. Speaking of Nocturne ult, looks like Nocturne ult is impacting our Huya feed right now. That is some of the delays that you're seeing on your screen. We're going to hope that gets fixed in the meantime. But yeah, the way Ultra Prime are playing these fights out, exactly what their composition is designed to do. Go in with the dive, go in for these picks, and then allow eventually for Hena and Liangchen to take over in the late game.
I mean, this Sion has been unimpeded so far. Gotten to a happier point of the matchup, and I mean, isn't even going up against that Rek'Sai right now. So he's just going to catch these waves and kind of scale for free into the Azir. Haichao doesn't have, really isn't far ahead enough in order to have a big impact here. Yeah, I mean, this is, I'd say that I think Ultra Prime, they've actually really sold me, Grapes. Like, coming into the day, we kind of thought that neither of these teams were going to make a run at getting out of Group Nirvana and making it into the play-in stage of the playoffs. Of course, in Group Nirvana, you have 4 teams, only 2 are going to make it into that play-in stage. I really feel like Ultra Prime kind of sold me that they can contest that based on the series today. This has been a very marked improvement versus that first series we saw them play against LGD.
And remember, that series against LGD, was the first time that this core of players has been together on the stage, right? It's the first time that Juhan and Hena were both playing with this team. It was Baya as well as the jungler with a lot of vowels that I would mess up if I tried to say his name in the Demacia Cup for UP.
Yeah, Hena's an upgrade from Baya based on my LPL experience for sure.
Yeah. And they were going up against LGD, who had a ton of games together, I think 17 in the Demacia Cup en route to a semifinals appearance. So the experience gap definitely was there, but maybe opportunity for Ultra Prime to be towards the top of Group Nirvana. They will play up against LGD a little bit later on in the tournament again. Try to make sure that they can battle for that top spot.
Scion Alarm is sounded. Hery a little bit jealous that he doesn't have that Rek'Sai farm on him anymore. As Hena throws down the cleanse and Moham wastes the full combo. He walks out.
XiaoXia.
And we're
going to go full in. Yeah, land that two-man grand entrance. Knock up onto Juhan and Moham. Still chunking it down, but now Juhan with the subjugate is going to be able to push forward.
That's no Rift, though.
Members of Ultra Prime back to base.
That could just be conditions blown for Rift based on that. I know that Grizzly still is waiting for that Paranoia to come up, but they did use Subjugate. Oh, there's going to be an upward. Okay, they can burst it down now. I was scared that if they don't take it on this wave, like once Paranoia is back up, then that is going to be the Rift Herald for Grizzly. More so curious, though, if that ends up being the Dragon Timer. That could be difficult for OMG to contest. As Grizzly, that Paranoia, this Dragon's up in a minute. Grizzly's going to have that ultimate up. Some conditions were taken away there. Most should be up for the Dragon. Cleanse will not be. The combo from Moham should be up for this upcoming fight. But Ultra Prime, given the topside reset after that, should be able to seesaw this map back to the spot where they can contest this Dragon. I'm curious if they want to now, because we've talked a lot about the scaling and some of the options they have later on for this game. Wondering if this is a Dragon they're just kind of okay giving away or if they want to fight it.
Looks like Empowered Recall did go through for Juhan to pick up components of that Dead Man's Plate. He'll be able to get back into the swing of things, try to contest this Dragon on the bottom side. Does have the Rift Herald, so could potentially use it to open up pressure in the mid lane before eventually making their way towards that objective. That's something to keep an eye on as we see these battle lines begin to be drawn. Mid laners and supports currently in the bottom lane, while our top laners duke it out up there. Both of them do have their teleports available if needed to make it a full-on 5v5, potentially our first full 5v5 of this second game.
Yeah, you can see how much happier Scion is, though, at this point. Like, yes, Rek'Sai can heal back up after the fight, but that shield's getting big. Those options for Scion are indeed scary. And he will be a more impactful team fighter. Rek'Sai, for me, is very flank-reliant and actually finding carries. Whereas Scion just really has to exist and be the stat check in the front line to have an impact in these fights. I think it's a much easier role to play. As this Dragon being postured around, looks like Ultra Prime at least going to tease it by pulling it out, but that Herald will be dropped by Juhan and OMG on this wave.
Yeah, forcing Ultra Prime to respond to that. Not going to be the entirety of this Tier 1 turret in the mid lane taken down, but definitely a big chunk of plates in their hands. Nobody really wants to start this Dragon up just yet, though. We now see a Ghost being popped, Paranoia being issued, and in goes Ultra Prime. XiaoXia and Grizzly the ones to lead the charge, and they're slowing down Juhan and Moham, but not being able to take anybody down just yet. Saber in with the Realm Warp, able to stop the bullet time, but he's going to get punished by Hery with the teleport of his own. A 1-for-0 in favor of OMG, forcing Hena to flash over the wall, and that should be enough for them to claim this first Dragon for them.
It was a nice Solar Flare from Moham. It did catch Grizzly, stop the auto attacks from coming through off the initial engage, but the difference is that Liangchen just never joined the fight. Hery burned the TP. Ultra Prime and Liangchen said, no, I'm not going to match. They end up dropping their captain in Saber. Scion gets the wave in, but that's a Dragon given over, a fight won for OMG, and a bit of a gold lead now emerging for them. I'm just kind of curious, like, for Ultra Prime there, I know they talked about miscommunications in the first series. This, in a way, kind of felt like one, because it's going to be a pretty early TP channel from the Rek'Sai, one that Hena spots. And they just don't commit Scion to it. Like, they kind of look for the cancel. Saber goes really hard to try and find Starry. Burns the flash. Hery burns it as well. But, yeah, I don't really know what the plan was for Ultra Prime with the Scion. Maybe they wanted him to TP to that ward. Who knows?
Get a couple plates instead. Yeah, it seemed like if Saber was going to use the Realm Warp, try to cancel that bullet time of Starry, that he was at least expecting the entirety of his team to really try to follow up on that. But the rest of the team already out of the picture. Part of that is because both ultimates from Grizzly and XiaoXia were already used, so it was difficult to try to continue to dive into that backline, but just a misutilization of the resources that UP did have does give OMG a 2,000 gold lead, along with evening up that dragon count.
That lead's going to be on Haichao as well. As I know it shows he's even at the moment, but once he gets this Leandries, it's going to be a really nice spot for Haichao to be in this game. At the 2-item spike, you know, it's his job to DPS in the front line. Azir can interact with a lot of this game. Going to be difficult to get through that Scion, but in a way, it kind of is on Azir to do so, because MF sure as hell isn't doing it, especially with him sitting at Sunfire plus a Thornmail at the moment. So, do want to see if Haichao can really put out that DPS. For me, this is the part of his game where he has struggled in the past. I think that his laning, while it's not the best at the start of this season, has been quite good as seasons pass. But I want to see him convert that into team fights, because that, for me, has been where he's really struggled. We saw that in the Talia game. Some fights where we were critical of, especially at some of the idea behind those grapes. So, see if this is one where Haichao can step up on the Azir, because he is going to be in a nice spot after his next recall. OMG in a nice spot now as a collapsing on the mid to take.
Looks like Ultra Prime, though, want to punish. In goes the bomb squad again, and they're going to be able to lock down Moham and eventually take Juhan down as well. In goes Haichao, lands a 2-man Emperor's Divide, but does not get the big carries on the backline. Hery, with the ulti, is able to take one down, but it will come at the cost of his life. And now the artillery in the backline, and the scaling has arrived for Ultra Prime. Hena untouched on the backline. Liangchen forces a flash, and UP are able to get a big chunk of gold. That is 3 kills for the cost of 1.
So, we saw them pass up on the Dragon fight. This does give them a few timers and cooldowns they can play around where they actually have an advantage. Liangchen doesn't even have to use his TP to get into this fight. And they are able to be here as 5 before OMG, which for me is the big difference maker. The other one, I just don't think that Haichao gets enough off of this fight. This engage, they're turning it around decently. As Starry, you know, gets 2 flashes out of this ult, but that re-engage from Haichao, again, it's his job to DPS and hold the line. I think him going in and flashing out is quite a bit of a waste. Just now, and he just walks back up to turret. Yeah, gets caught by Liangchen, and then doesn't have any of his tools to get out afterwards. So, yeah, we kind of banana combo our way in and out of that fight, as Liangchen doesn't quite have the range on the decimating smash there, but... yeah, that was, again, for me, Haichao was a very important member in these fights. We're trying to get through the front line. And we saw the portion of the fight where he was kind of able to. And then the re-engage was just a bit of a flub. And I don't really think that a re-engage was even necessary there for OMG, as if they kind of hold the fight chill, that turret's going to fall. And they can walk out, reset, and then play with more tools, hopefully, on a different timer or look for something else. But, yeah, that was an overforce for me and one that didn't come up their way.
We talked about OMG in game number 1 not fully understanding the identity of their composition. It feels like Haichao in a similar situation this time. They are going to catch XiaoXia out, though. And so that is 1 kill back. But Haichao in these fights with this composition doesn't have to go for those full dive plays. He's better off playing in the back side of things, right? With these 2 items alongside Starry. When he fully utilizes his combo and then doesn't have an escape out, he's not as useful as he could potentially be given this composition.
Well, deep breath here, Grapes. 30 seconds for the Dragon. A lot of resources put in for OMG, at least around this Baron. Might open up the Dragon. I don't think this is the Dragon that matters the most in the world, just given that each team split the first 2. We're very slow on getting to Soul in this game, Grapes. X-Tech Soul, though, if you lock it down, I mean, that can sometimes just be GG, given the strength of that Soul. So, still think these Dragons important to track, but... definitely one where Up's not exactly in the position to get anything if they drop it. And just want to see OMG, again, be a little bit more disciplined around their lines, especially with Haichao. As he's going to throw down that turret, and that will help ensure mid-priority. I don't like that from Moham.
That solar flare. Looks like OMG
what
are the ones who
that?
want to push the go button first, but the re-engage from Ultra Prime is big. A realm warp of everybody as Saber sends in the cavalry. That's the bot lane going down already on OMG's side, and Ultra Prime ignore the dragon as they will make their way straight towards the big purple worm.
OMG, what are we doing, man? I have no words. We threw out Leona ult, Pillar, MF ult, and found nothing but 1 flash. And now, I mean, best of luck fighting this one, but like that was just so terrible to start off.
To be the hero here.
Oh
yeah, the charm still hits Haichao. He dashes forward in desperation, but desperation is all that it is. Another kill into the hands of Ultra Prime. Saber has that Seraph's pop, but that shield's going to be so valuable here. A two-man knockup connects, and it's a clean 5-0 ace. A triple kill for Hena, and the Baron on top for Ultra Prime.
This is just such a terrible engage from OMG. Like this whole sequence happens because OMG completely flubs their initial engage. Okay, we're gonna smite that one down. That's fine. Grizzly's waiting on the cooldown. But let's take a look at the replay. This is such a flub from OMG. Moham just trying to send it. These conditions, like again, Banana Brush just trying to hard force. It all misses. We still follow up, and then this gets done. It gets done. We got absolutely nothing off the start of that fight. Like, how are we supposed to play this one out? It's so easy to find MF in the back half. She's flashless from the last fight, which was an oops. And then Haichao is gonna ult late. So the combo from XiaoXia still connects. He doesn't find the cancel on the grind entrance. He still gets caught up. It's free. That's just the late ult. If you're gonna play that one differently, you're gonna have to ult sooner. So Haichao just kind of ends up going up the flub. No one helps him, and it's just a disaster on all fronts here for OMG Grapes.
And then they decided to try to fight 2v5 because the 3v5 worked so well for them the first time.
Yeah,
and,
you know.
Didn't work.
One alarms, man. We're going down as a team.
Here's the thing. You have a 0 ult. You have, like, you know, this Trundle pillar. You have a big tanky Rek'Sai. It seems like if OMG just sit back and wait for Ultra Prime to engage, it almost maybe works out better for them.
But what if
they're a composition that likes to soak up that pressure and counter-engage themselves? They shouldn't be the ones to try to force a fight right there around that dragon.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think some of the timing of this game, like, in a way, they do have to force because the game doesn't get better for them. I would just like to force in a better, more calculated manner because these forces have been disgusting. And not in the good disgusting way. It's been disgustingly gross.
Haichao looking for a Phoenix moment up in the top side. Not going to happen. As Grizzly goes in with the paranoia and is able to get that kill. 4,500 gold in favor of Ultra Prime. They're looking primed to 2-0 this series.
It is a good turnaround for Ultra Prime. I can give them some credit for this game. I think they deserve more credit for game one, given how that one went. As I feel like OMG has kind of thrown this one away. But some of the big questions we had for Ultra Prime, like the first time that they hit the Rift here in Split 1, it looks like they just picked early game, weren't able to convert, and that was kind of it, right? It was a flub. We didn't know the direction, the identity. As you highlighted, Grapes, they didn't have the Koreans with them for Demacia Cup. They were playing with subs. I think the addition of Grizzly and Hena and just honestly having this team work together for a week has been huge because I saw cohesive gameplay, cohesive ideas from them today.
Yeah.
And it's looked good. I think that Grizzly and Saber as a tandem have had a really nice series against OMG, and that's something that they can hopefully build off.
Going to be very curious to see the evolution of this Grizzly Saber core. XiaoXia thrown into that mix as well because it seems like it could be a fun one. You know, we have many historic mid-jungle duos in the LPL that kind of defined the style of the region for so many years of hyper-aggression, fully going in and making plays around side lanes, right? You think of like Tian and Doinby back in the day, for instance. Maybe Saber and Grizzly can be a sort of evolution off of that. We're seeing them have that sort of identity, at least in this best of 3 so far.
Is there anything in the new season that you've seen, Grapes, that you just don't understand why it's not being played in Pro?
I haven't played too much of this new season yet.
It was either this or the Pickles conversation for me. Yeah. That's kind of where we're at in this cast.
I'm trying to think. I honestly, I thought we might see more like hard split pushers up in the top lane, like your Fioras and things like that, with the new changes to the bracers and things. But it's just been a lot of tanks, a lot of team fighters still. It feels like the LPL would be the region to try to go for those experimentations, but we haven't really seen any of that.
I thought we would have seen at least one Echo jungle, or like a little bit more Diana.
Yeah, not a lot of AP junglers too, because that's been a big change that pros not really been buying into.
We've only seen Dusk and Dawn really built on Jax top, which is definitely... You become something else as Jax later on, man, if your late game wasn't strong enough. That item added a whole new element to it. So yeah, I'm always curious, like in scrims, what is preventing these picks from being made to stage? Because sometimes there's like a matchup that I'm unsure about where it's so one-sided. Like, we can't play Echo because it gets destroyed by Pantheon like this, you know? Or like just these pros, they play a combo into it. It's too good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been surprised the lack of AP junglers a little bit.
AP junglers, yeah, split pushers, as we were saying. I was hoping there's I like the patch notes. I tried I read them, right? It took me a lot longer than I thought we were going to. I kept scrolling and scrolling. We hadn't even gotten to champions yet. Just all the new changes and things. I would have thought that would have meant changes in the meta. Not necessarily the case just yet. At least in terms of like big, massive picks like rising in popularity. The new junglers during the Masia Cup was fun. Got a lot of Embesses, got a lot of Malphites, but even that's starting to take a hit, especially if you look towards what next patch is going to bring. So looks like we're kind of just back to the same old.
Speaking of same old, waiting for a group Nirvana game to end. No, I think comeback mechanics here for OMG. If they can have that big DPS fight where they are able to catch the engage, and we see Haichao and Starry, you know, get some deeps down and a good fight, or if we get Hery has a really good angle on the back line, it's playable. Until then, though, these empowered rune prisons from Saber have really been dictating fights.
Waiting for that Baron to come back up, force OMG into a bit of a pickle as to what they want to do. Go for the dragon, go for the Baron. Looks like it will be Baron here for Ultra Prime as they have started up. And Liangchen and Hena currently playing Bouncer, trying to make sure that OMG can't get in there. Moham goes a little bit too far forward with that Zenith Blade once again. The Valkyrie, just a beautiful counter combo here by Hena and Ultra Prime results in that first kill. Underneath the tower, they will take down Starry. And already it is a 3v5 on the map. Only one member gets hit by the Emperor's Divide, and it's not any crucial target. And Saber on the back line making quick work of Hery and Juhan. Haichao still able to survive. The health bar is ticking low for Ultra Prime, but not low enough. Hena dashes in, gets the kill onto Hery, and Juhan is forced to use the Blast Cone defensively. Haichao is able to kill the enemy jungler, which is going to be a big factor here. He goes golden, but Ultra Prime and Hena are able to time it perfectly to shut him down.
Honestly, Haichao almost won them that fight with what he did on the back half, but that initial engage was way too sound from Ultra Prime onto Starry. As, man, XiaoXia, I think that we've talked a lot about Grizzly and Saber in this series, Graves. XiaoXia's had a really nice series. I felt like, you know, coming into this, said that Grizzly and XiaoXia were probably the two best performers on Ultra Prime in that loss versus LGD. I feel very much the same way coming out, that Grizzly and XiaoXia have been a positive. As this engage from Moham, too deep, Hena baits him in with the Valkyrie. Leona, I mean, you don't want to exactly cast Paranoia on a Leona sometimes, but that's way too free of a kill and makes for a very easy fight. XiaoXia finds the rest with his grand entrance and quickness combo. And then Haichao, honestly, it has some nice heroic moments here. Grizzly is forced out by the turret, and Haichao is kind of able to distract two members, did end up killing the jungler, and made sure that, you know, the Rek'Sai Trundle combo could actually do some work. As he had a good angle on the Grizzly, so a nice moment from Haichao, but the initial engage too good from up. As we return to the scene of the crime, we're still fighting.
That Baron already taken by Ultra Prime in the front line, just way too far forward at this point. The bullet time merely tickling the mighty Scion of Liangchen, as it's a 2-0, the Baron, and now a trip down the mid lane to try to end this game and end this series, Cubby.
Yeah, well, I'd say a win you can build off of if you're Ultra Prime. Meanwhile, OMG, this looks like the team we're saying goodbye to early on here for Split 1, Graves. We need to go back to the drawing board and figure out what's going on here for OMG.
These two teams entered this season winless, but it will be Ultra Prime marching out of here with their first victory of 2026. Saber ends this game 8-1-9, and Ultra Prime will win, pick up the sweep.
Great bounce back from Saber based on the first series he had versus LGD. Feel like, you know, what he talked about in that interview about miscommunication. Look, frankly, I mean, A, you're the captain, but B, I felt like some of that was coming from himself and his own play, like using some tools too early. Maybe that's what he's talking about in terms of miscommunication, but man, what a difference two series makes here for Ultra Prime. As the boys in purple, I mean, they got these LCK imports in. They, you know, looked very rusty, I think, or very non-cohesive in that first series they had versus LGD. And what they've been able to do since then from there, this looks like a different team from what we saw that day to this day. And sometimes just that time to try and gel together, try to get going, is what is needed. And that was, I'd say, a good performance from Ultra Prime. Definitely punished OMG for some mistakes. And on the flip side for OMG, pretty grim performance from them as they gave up a 2-0 to Ultra Prime, Grapes. Something that Ultra Prime did not do in the entire year of 2025 was win a 2-0. Done something they haven't done since 2024. Find a 2-0 victory here in the LPL.
And they were playing in Group Nirvana for most of the year, too. So it's not like they were up against the toughest of competition at most points. So congratulations to Ultra Prime. It seems like their season already off to a better start than it was in 2025. As for OMG, a little bit more of the same. There was hope based off of their Demacia Cup performances, but so far they have come up flat in 2026. 0-4 in terms of game score, 0-2 in terms of matches. They still, of course, have more series to go to try to save the season, but it is looking grim for now.
Yeah, it's, you know, Group Nirvana, you don't get as many opportunities as the other groups to try and prove yourself. So while the gameplay may not be as strong here, I think the stakes are always really high. And you really get to see what these players can do under pressure. OMG just weren't up to it today. And I really feel like they got beat in pretty much all series, or like all parts of the game, you know? If I referenced the Augie Guerrera, Texas head coach baseball speech, would you know what that is, Grapes?
No.
We're going to have a video to go through after we're done with this. I got to send one to you. But he's like, we got beat in all facets of the game. He's like, 2-out hitting, base running. I messed up the order. I used to be able to quote that speech like from start to finish. But no, I feel like OMG got beaten all facets of the game. I felt like draft. I liked both Ultra Prime's drafts better. Early game, I feel like OMG didn't cash in hard enough for what they had. Dragons, Ultra Prime smoked them in Dragon Control throughout this series. And then team fights and execution, man. Saber, Grizzly, and XiaoXia were dictating every single one of those fights off their plays. I feel like OMG didn't have the say they wanted to, and then when they did, well, we saw all their combos flub. So it made things a lot easier for Ultra Prime, too.
Caddy, our producer, I'm wondering if we can get that lower third back up. I want to just see the face that Cubby made again. If we don't have it on this scene, that's all right. But yeah, that's what it looked like watching OMG when you didn't see our faces in the back there. But it was a tough one. There we go. That was me watching that Azir ulti about 10 minutes into the game.
Worst of all mids, LPL 26. You know, my beef with Haichao last year was that his laning stats were actually good, but then he would just do nothing with him in team fights. So this is not good for Haichao when we don't have either things going for us. So damage chart did look nice for him. I didn't really feel that impact on the Rift. But for OMG, this was, again, a pretty convincing 2-0 in favor of Ultra Prime. Curious who you're going to give out a pog to that game, Grapes. I feel like Saber might be going back-to-back here.
Yeah, if my math is right, it's 18-1 and 14 for. Oh wait, no, hold on. 18-1 and 17 for Saber. That's a 35 KDA for the duration of this 2-0. Big games here for the captain of Ultra Prime, who said he wanted to be able to be more of a leader that we saw in our interview, and they think that they have a shot at playoffs, like he said after their first series of the year. And maybe we look at that and we say, you know, like, we'll see if that ends up happening or not. But it seems like right now they are off to a good start.
Yeah, I mean, hey, doing something you haven't done for all of last year when you're a couple new members in the team. Finding a 2-0. Again, all of Ultra Prime's wins last year, none of them were a 2-0. They were all highly contested. So to find a rather convincing 2-0 tonight, I feel like everyone did a good job in terms of, like, I can probably highlight a positive for every member of Ultra Prime. I think the ones that we were talking about the least are probably Hena and Liangchen. Liangchen did his job in those two games. Yeah. I mean, felt like he was fine. And then Hena was also, I mean, that's the classic Hena, right? You kind of go through a game as it seems spectator, but you're doing your job, and Hena ends up doing something at the end. I think that's all good.
You know, and for those guys, if this is what the identity of Ultra Prime is, where you have Saber and you have Grizzly going crazy aggressive in the early to mid game, XiaoXia joining a part of that as well. Having a top laner or bot laner that just kind of sit back and do their jobs is all you need for you know, the identity. You don't always have to have everybody be the superhero, be the hard carry. and that's not what Liangchen or Hena had to do in this series, as it looks like we do have our interview ready with Saber. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to translate any of that, so we will be wrapping up our coverage of this first best of 3. But Ultra Prime off to the races here in 2026, picking up their first 2-0 of the year.
I mean, again, this was a team that, frankly, if they play like that the next time they're on the Rift, I'm excited. Now, OMG, I may have the opposite feelings when it comes to them about that. But, hey, for Ultra Prime, if you're a fan of the boys in purple, it was a good day for you.
And potentially more excitement in the wings for them. I think they still have some more matchups against teams like LNG, LGD, in order to try to build up their resume and potentially make that play-ins push. But that's going to do it for our coverage of the first series. We're going to be saying goodbye to Cubby, and a big thank you for joining alongside us for this first series. We're going to move from Nirvana over to Group Perseverance. We're going to bring in Quacks to cover our next best of 3 of the day. It is Edward Gaming trying to pick up their first win of the year, this time against Thunder Talk. That'll be with you momentarily. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.